I mean, you don't have one. When you have a xylophone, it's okay, you don't have to do it. When you have a xylophone, generally the composer wants the hardest possible wooden sound you can get. They don't want a soft mallet. They want something soft, they're going to go with a marimba, right? Okay, but there are times when, for effect, it might say specifically a soft mallet, you know, yarn mallet or something on xylophone for an effect. But if it's just a xylophone, it's just a xylophone part, you want the hardest possible mallet. You want that part to come through louder than anything else that's going on in the ensemble. So if you look back and you can't hear the xylophone player, it's because they're not using the right mallet. And I see this all the time. They need to have the hardest possible mallet, so it really sounds like wood. Now with chimes, you can use leather, you can use acrylic, there's different mallets you can use. And when you're listening to those, what you really want to listen for is the attack. And if you're not happy with the sound of the actual impact, they're using the wrong mallet. And again, it depends on what's going on around you. Now with timpani, timpani players, I think, should always have a variety of mallets. And I've always asked my composers to indicate what mallet they want, including what they want to have changed. And the timpani, you know, and as far as the biggest issue you see with timpani is kids that really can't tune them. And that's very difficult when they can't tune them. And then they rely on these, and if those aren't right, then what are you going to do? So, and if the timpani's out of tune and they're playing along with your bass line, you know, it's not helping anything. So it's good to be able to have some time with your students where you can really show them how to tune. And my favorite way of tuning timpani is to sing the pitch and bring the note into tune, and you sing into the drum. Is that the way you do yours? And when you get it, when the pitch actually gets there, the drum head sings back to you. And that's generally what I like to do to be able to get it in tune, and to do it very quietly. And you know, there's nothing more annoying than everything's quiet, you're standing on the podium ready for the piece to start, and the kids go like, and you're going down. It's just not necessary to do that. They just need to know how to tune. So, but you do want to have the different type of mallets. And also, the next thing is knowing where to hit the drum. And of course, on a snare drum, you know, you want to hit it over the snare, about kind of midway between the rim and the center, and you can get different effects listening to it. And on timpani, you know, even kids who aren't timpani players can hear the difference between this kind of shallow sound and this hollow sound. And you want to find the sweet spot where it's going to sound really good. And they just need to know that. And of course, when they're moving from drum to drum, you want to make sure they're not too close so they don't hit each other and make extra percussion sounds, you know, but they have to be close enough. One of the things I find most interesting is when the timpani part is challenging and the kids don't take the time to figure out the sticking, and so they wind up kind of tying themselves in knots eventually. So it's really good to be able to help them with the sticking, because I find actually sticking on timpani on complicated parts is very much like bowing on a violin. I mean, it makes sense when it makes sense. And sometimes it just means, you know, like on a violin, you retake the bow sometimes, you know, just like you can't just always go up, down, you can't necessarily always alternate. Same thing on timpani, you want to be able to do that. But to me, the thing I find most about timpani, I find this very frequently, is you've seen on a lot of timpani parts, it looks like a rough, where you have like the 2/16 of grace notes and then the note following it. And the way I see, unfortunately, the majority of kids doing it is they take one stick and just kind of hit the second one. And that's not it. You want, what I generally do on that is say, you don't get any clarity when you just got this kind of like, these are my grace notes. So I tell them, the best way I found to do that is I'll ask them, are you right-handed or left-handed? And you go with their dominant hand. If they're right-handed, you start on your right, you end on your right, and you want the last note to be the biggest. So you want to hear all three notes, rather than just, you want that. So and if they're left-handed, you just switch it up. But I see this all the time. So it's something to remember. You want the clarity on the grace notes, and to be able, they need to know what their dominant hand is, and be able to make sure that they're using it to their advantage for phrasing purposes. It's pretty important. And of course, changing the pitch of the timpani, and we get into all kinds of things there.